Gormago Ceann Corla agus fáilte rivan ara and so Oireachtas. Minister, can you provide an update on the work of the European Commission and the consultants appointed by DG Reform, who are aiming to investigate methods of increasing the sustainability of higher and further education provision in Ireland? As the Minister will know, this question is an important one. We know that the sector needs a long-term sustainable trajectory and that COVID-19 has only reinforced the need for that. When can we expect to see developments in this regard?
Minister.
Yeah, thanks very much, Deputy O'Sullivan. This is an important question, and it's an issue that perhaps has been overlooked or messed around with far too long politically. The last Oireachtas decided we'd have another review. So an all-party committee got together and looked at the Cassell's report and asked for an economic evaluation, and that's the process the Deputy is asking me about. So the development of a sustainable funding model for higher education is essential in light of the centrality of further and higher education to our progress as a country, now more than ever. The future development of Ireland as an inclusive society and a knowledge economy against the backdrop of rapid technological change will be critically dependent on the quality of our graduates. We don't want anyone to be locked out of society or locked out of our economy, and we need to make sure everyone's prepared for that. In that context, a comprehensive economic evaluation of the funding options presented in the report of the expert group on future funding for higher education is underway, and it's supported, as you say, by the European Commission DG Reform Programme. My department is working closely with the European Commission and the independently appointed consortium of consultants. The key aim of this review is to investigate methods of increasing the sustainability of higher and further education provision in Ireland, including an examination of the funding options. This review commenced early this year, and work is now expected to be completed towards the end of Q1 of next year. My department will continue to work with stakeholders in this comprehensive analysis of funding options for higher education and the assessment of the appropriate balance in provision across the tertiary education system. Completion of this work will allow for an informed debate on the appropriate policy approach to future planning and funding of higher and further education provision, which is, as I said, fundamental to Ireland's economic and social sustainability. So I look forward to keeping the Deputy informed. I know his interest in this area, and I expect we'll have the outcome of that at the end of Q1 of next year, 2021.
Well, I know that the Minister has only been in situ for a period of months. This is an issue which has been dragging on for a number of years. The Commission was first asked to help with this work back in October 2018. The expert group started its work in 2014 to identify and consider issues related to the long-term sustainable funding of higher education in Ireland and to identify funding options for the future. The programme for government commits to develop a long-term sustainable funding model for higher level education in collaboration with the sector and informed by recent and ongoing research and analysis. This work, which is an extension of the Cassell's report from 2016, will be vital in achieving this. In some ways, Minister, this report will dictate many of your actions in reforming the system in the longer term. Following the completion of this work, can the Minister provide us with an indication of what happens next? Can we expect to see this work published to inform future debate?
Thanks, Deputy. Minister, you have a bit of time here now.
So not to preempt its outcome, but it would absolutely be my intention to publish it. It would be my intention to engage with the Oireachtas, and it would ultimately be my intention to bring proposals to government. I do want to settle this question, Deputy. I agree with you. This has gone on for a very, very, very long time. The Taoiseach had a very clear view in relation to the need to attach a centrality, a focus to further and higher education. That's why he established this department, and I am determined that we do just that. I do want to just say very briefly, though, we haven't kind of been standing still, I suppose, since Cassell's, and we have taken a number of measures, this government and the last, to try and increase planned investment in higher education. For example, we're spending 25% more in higher education this year than we did in 2016, and that's an amount in the order of an additional €370 million, bringing total funding for the sector to this year to 1.87 billion, up from 1.5 billion in 2016. But we do need to settle the question. We need to have the data, we need to have the economic evaluation, the debate, and then make a decision.
Yep. Thanks again, Minister. Minister, I am concerned that the future debate in this area will be distorted. We need to ensure that there is a public understanding of the two separate issues which need to be addressed. The first is costs for students. It's welcome that the Minister has announced a review of SUSI. This will be important in ensuring that the support system which is in place can meet the demand of students. The second is that the sustainability of the sector itself, keeping the doors open for these students, keeping talent in place and ensuring that Ireland contributes on the international stage. We know that these issues tend to be conflated, but they are separate issues. For example, some of the parties opposite made no additional provision for the sustainability of the sector in their recent manifestos. If such an approach was to be delivered by government, it could be very damaging to the sector. Can the Minister speak to this and the need to address both issues in the years ahead? They are the issues of costs and sustainability.
Thanks, Minister.
Well, again, without preempting the outcome of the report, I have said on the record of this House before that I don't favour the model that's in place in Northern Ireland. And I don't want to see our students coming out of college laden down with debt. And I also don't want to see the fear or perception of debt being a barrier to access for certain families either. I'm very pleased that we've got the SUSI review underway. Something that you'll never hear anybody say, but 44% of students attending higher education today have their registration fee paid in full or in part by that. And we're now spending, I think it's over €350 million a year on student supports, in addition to that figure I mentioned of 1.87 billion being spent in higher education. So when you add the two together, we're now investing more than €2 billion in higher education each and every year. But it's the certainty of funding, I think, that the sector craves. It's knowing what the funding model is. We already have a model where our employers are contributing through a levy, and we obviously already have a model where people are paying, where there's a lot of exchequer funding going in, matched by a part of a registration fee. I really hope that the economic evaluation can present us with real options, but you're right, we're going to need an honest debate, and that's why I think publishing the data, publishing the information, and having that honest debate is something we need to facilitate.